I don't know if we're live. Live stream isn't available right now. I don't believe it. I just can't believe it. Looks like I might have caught it up. All right, there we go, guys. Hey, let's jump into our market Monday. Let's see what Houston's doing, guys. We're taking a look at all the information across the whole city. So when I look at something that's catching my eye today, it's the new listings. New listings is 2464, and you look at the solds is 2520. So it's still kind of remaining the same consistency of solds, but the new listings, it's ebbing and flowing. It's getting real close to dropping below the sold number, which means just like this week, where you've got some challenges, guys, with inventory in Houston. Now, that isn't rocket science. We already knew that we had challenges with inventory, but pay attention to this because those who are froggy, who are thinking about possibly selling your homes, this is the time to be able to consider it, right? If inventory is low, the law of supply and demand tells us that it's probably a good time to get what we want out of the market. Now, here's the thing, and I keep saying this, I'm going to reiterate again. Right now, the market is awesome and it's hot and it's wonderful. And it is still about time. You get more time than you're getting the sheer volume of like supply and demand. If the supply goes low, you think the demand goes high, which means then obviously inventory is low. We can get price. We're not seeing anybody capitalize on price in a way that you think they would. Now, are people creeping up and getting an extra $2,000 to $3,000? Yes, but we are not seeing the market to where it's just completely crazy, where people are overbidding, overbidding, overbidding for homes. I have not personally seen that. I've looked at the data and I don't see it in the data either. If you're seeing this, I'd love to hear you. I want to hear your stories of this. If you're a realtor and doing this, I'd love to be able to hear your stories. But right now, I am not seeing that. Now, that doesn't mean that that is not completely possible. Doesn't mean that it's not on the horizon. And it doesn't mean that you can't test it. In certain neighborhoods, in certain markets, you absolutely are seeing some of these things come to fruition. It's just not happening overall in Houston. So it is a great time to be curious. And the most, I think, important thing that you're getting out of the demand in the market is time. So if you had this expectation that you could sell your house in 60 days, gosh, it's taken 13. And so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the capitalization on the supply and demand is happening in time right now. It's not necessarily happening anything else. Okay. And again, I'd love to hear anybody out there who has a different opinion of that and hear what you have to say. Kind of coming down through the rest of the market, looking at what's happening. 2464 new listings, 632 back on the market, 358 price increase, 2037 on the option pending, 411 on pending continue show, and 2767 on the pending. Now, I'm showing you like that pending and that sold data creeping up while the new listings is going down. That is going to be a challenge. I'm really curious to see if that 3.5 months of inventory continues to drop. Now, here's something that I'm really curious about that I'm watching, and I mentioned this last week, and I'm watching it still, is about the education system right now. Watching everybody who in this time frame would have been coming out of the woodwork saying, I've got to get into this new home before school starts. Well, we don't know what school looks like right now. School is the X factor, I think, in the economy right now as far as what home sales are looking like. And I think it's worth noting, I think it's worth having the conversation over. If there's such uncertainty about schools, and it doesn't matter now that I get into the great school that I had in this grandiose plan of mine for my kids, I'm going to be homeschooling them anyways. My urgency to sell my house and get to where I want to go has just dwindled. And so you're going to see that wave of inventory begin to change and shift a little bit. You're not going to see as many of these people moving from school system to school system come to fruition. We would see an influx right now of people who with high urgency who haven't really found that space yet, really digging in and getting out there and going for it. I think we're going to see that data probably in the next 30 to 60 days, 45, 60 days, maybe even 70 days. We're going to see some of that data come out, and we're going to be able to really understand what that means. But I truly, I think about this all the time. I think right now, if we're looking at the market, one of the things that we have to consider, and especially for Houston, Texas, is the school systems is a big driving force for people who move from one space to the other. And I think we're going to not see that. I think there's going to be a lot more people who are curious about renting a little bit longer than they were because of this. If they were ready to purchase and they didn't own a home already, I think they may pump the brakes and see what's going to happen because, like, for them, it might not be worth purchasing yet, even though the purchasing power is high. So we're going to see a little bit of this confusion happening in the school, the family side of it, the families that are moving to be able to get into the school system. I think we will see some of that shift right now. But overall, guys, it is a great market. It's a hot market. The people who understand this market are really advocates for you, and the people who understand this market are the ones who are looking at the data and not just being excited about sales. Okay, and what I mean by that, without painting too big of a picture, is the realtor is a really important factor in this. Find your realtor who understands the data, who understands the economy, who understands the market. Right now, as it sits, it is a challenge watching realtors who are feeding at the frenzy of what's happening in the market and not being fiduciaries for their clients. And I don't mean that to be rude again, but beware the realtor who's just excited to take your listing. Don't beware the realtor who's just excited to take you as a buyer client. Ask the right questions. Interview your realtor. Make sure they understand the market. Ask them data questions. Get inside of this. Like, you've got some data points just to steal from me. If you want more, gosh, I have a list of questions that I think you should ask every single realtor. If you want that list, just type a message or email me, randyolive@kw.com, randyolive@kw.com. You can find me at any of these stuff down here as well, on Facebook, mvv@randyolive.com. You can find me on Instagram. Wherever you find me, you can comment here. I'll send you a very in-depth list of questions to ask your realtor, because when I look at it, you want the person who understands what's happening in the economy of real estate right now, not just the person who's excited about the hot market. Every single one of us are watching people talk about hot, 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 hot. And it is a hot market, but it's the best market for smart people. And the smart agent's going to help you get what you want. Okay. So this is what real estate looks like right now, guys. Still super low inventory. We're starting to see things rise. I will tell you right now, the current inventory volume, the average inventory volume, I've watched that trend a little bit, and I haven't been sharing that, but man, that's gone up in the past 2 to 3 weeks. It's gone up about $50,000. So $50,000 in inventory. Now that could tell two different stories, right? The lower inventory is dropping off, and the higher inventory is still sitting on the market a little bit longer, which could make sense. Lower days on market for the lower inventory will increase our average price point. But I am curious about what that means, as we're watching the prices trickle, paying attention to the data that makes the most sense. Again, find your real estate agent who's the economic leader. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Real estate in Houston looks great. Mortgage rates look great. Everything is still in that perfect crossroads, guys. I'm curious to see what's going to happen for our fall. I think we're going to see a spike. I think this fall is going to spike. So, yeah, let's keep looking at it. I appreciate it. If you need any help, by all means, reach out, guys. This is Randy Olive, Randy Olive Real Estate Company. This is Randy Olive Monday Marketing, here with, yeah, me. There you go.